discuss?
Oh.
No? Okay. And the minutes from last month's meeting? Does anybody have any additions or corrections or anything to add to the minutes from last month? If not, can we have a motion to accept the minutes from the March meeting?
I so move.
Thank you, Sally. I'll second.
Second.
Any objections? President's report, I just have a couple quick things. For one thing, April, I would like you to compliment the staff on all the kinds of, creative things that they've done. And, because it can't have been easy to think up things that you could hand out to people and they would be engaging and so on. And really, they've done some wonderful things. I have the bag of the mystery book, or the next, I forgot now, or the next one, the one, and I don't usually, I'm like, I always pick out what I want, and I'm not too much on, just grab bag. I got the best book ever. I am having so much fun with it. It's about this 1970 and the rock musicians and how they, all that went on in you kind of forget 1970. So it's really interesting. Well, you don't forget it. You're all too young, but I remember it. Except
I did live through. I did.
Yeah.
I was born in the 60s. I will. It could have been March was a mystery month, and then April was, I don't know if you did the April one or not.
It was April Showers, and that's what it was. The name of the book was Fire and Rain. Because it was
cute.
it was about the Beatles and James Taylor and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and all that, and it's wonderful fun. I'm having a good, and some of that, there was really some awful things went on in the 70s, and I completely forgot all that.
Yeah.
I remember saying to my mother something about the Beatles. She said, April, I had children in the 60s. I don't remember.
I know. I was not a fan of the Beatles except for a few things, but the other stuff, I was a big fan. So long ago and far away.
Have we started?
We did. What happened was Sue was giving her, not really the president's report, but just whatever, her comments. And she wanted to compliment the staff on their creativity. And April Showers, or something to do with April, was the grab bag. And the title was Fire and Rain, right? Something like that. Oh. So that's where we were.
Are we all here?
Hi, Pat.
We are. Scott just showed up. So yes, we're all here.
Right. And the only other thing I had to say, April, you had mentioned I think in your report that you were shopping for things that would work for having outdoor programming.
Yes.
Which is a good idea. And have you thought of one of those portable pop-up canopies?
We have a 10 by 10.
Pardon?
But I thought maybe we would do something a little bigger than that. I don't know. I did go to Big Lots after between work.
They're only, for most part, they're under $100, and they provide a center for when you're outside. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, okay, this is the gathering place, and then your materials can be there, and then you can move out to do whatever you want to do. But
we do have a 10 by 10. I'm not really sure what
would be a good idea. They're not very expensive.
Okay, maybe we'll get a few more.
Yeah. Okay, and the next thing. Oh, I was going to ask about, do we need to reconvene the building committee? Just kind of talk over those, maybe next month.
Maybe, just a conversation. What does it mean? Like I sent this to you, and it was just kind of this idea of what it was per square foot. And I said, well, it gave us an overview, but I have no idea to find out how much it would be to like update Dunham House. I don't know what that means. And because construction grant, which I'll get into a little later, but construction grant funding is at 34 million, which is what it was a couple of years ago, which is
right. Yeah.
That means we could probably get like $100,000 to match, which is significant. So obviously we want to break down a project that's 200,000-ish, and so what does that mean? So I'm supposed to talk to her tomorrow afternoon, at least
Yeah.
on that front. And then I've ordered posters from Utica Public of the schematics because they're too little. I mean, you can blow them up on your computer, but then we'd have them so we could put them on display in the library.
That's a good idea.
Or we could discuss
it's
them.
hard to visualize it all unless you see it.
But we could meet and sit
size.
on the picnic table or something like that, or whatever we want to do, or we could Zoom it. But yes, I do like the idea of pulling another meeting together because then we can discuss what projects we think might go first.
Yeah, and
Okay.
what kind of priorities we would choose and so on.
Okay, so
Okay,
we used
I'm
to
all
meet
set.
on
What?
Tuesdays. As far as a day, I'll look back and see what day we used to meet, and then I'll try to do it the same
Yeah,
day.
it doesn't have to be right away, but we're getting, I think, toward a place where we can meet in person if we're not real close together, and we can wear masks or whatever we think we need to do.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, I would like to do that to get that started so that we can, because it always takes longer than you think.
I know.
And pretty soon in August, the application for construction grant will be due, and August isn't really that far away. So
No.
we will move forward. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Aren't we going to want to have that herd immunity before we start doing that?
We might. Well, with masks, we can meet in public. So that's what obviously we go to work. We're all meeting. The library is open to the public.
Yeah,
but
right.
We can do this. I mean, we can do certain things. And also I could supply you with a packet and we could do a hybrid type of thing. We'll figure it out. So everybody's welcome.
I'll tell you, I haven't seen my grandchildren. I haven't got a haircut. I don't go to church. I don't go to the dentist. I'm going to be hard pressed to go out someplace. This thing scares the heck out of me. I'm telling you.
Maybe Zoom. We could,
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We've got time.
Okay.
Can we move on to the financial reports? We have several things. We have the expenditure and revenues report for February.
Yes. And the only thing I'm going to say that C, the Bank of Utica renewal, is written on page 2, and that renewal is April 16th. And I mean, I don't see any reason. So I'm just throwing that out there if you want to look at it. There's not much there besides the name
it's
of
just a matter of renewing it, right?
Exactly. So I don't think we even need to vote on it. In a way, you're voting on it by voting on the expenditures report, I guess is what I was thinking, because it's included in it.
Okay. So we need a motion to accept the expenditure and revenue report for February.
So moved.
Okay, now second.
Oh, Scott, hello. I didn't know you were there.
I
First
snuck
and then
in.
second for Pat, you think? I don't know. That's what I heard.
Scott, Pat.
Got it.
And who seconded?
Pat, me, Pat.
Yeah.
Pat?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And we have the abstract of claims from March 10th to April 13th.
It's high this month because we have two insurance that went to Mid-York, which is significant. And we also have 3 payrolls. There were a few other things. We have a little construction grade in there, but that's not really very much in the scheme of things. But basically an extra payroll and an extra insurance is pretty much what that's about. We do have another one for the architect is in there. And then we have we're working on the kitchen of part of the construction grant. So it's all normal stuff. And the Ingram order is pretty high too this month because again, we have like almost 5 weeks instead of 4.
Yeah.
So,
okay. I'll move that we accept the abstract of claims from March 10th to April 13th. Do we have a second?
Second again. Pat.
Okay. And then the Bank of Utica CD is included in the
Included in
expenditure.
A, so we could almost, I could put a line through
Okay.
that. I don't
As
know.
long as we all know that that's what's going on.
Right.
Okay.
I don't think we have to comment on C. So Susanna, you could just leave that off. I
Okay.
guess.
Okay.
All right,
And
Teresa.
then-
The
There was
correction,
something else, Shar? Wasn't there something else, a correction or something?
There was a correction. The claim numbers were corrected. The dollar amount's the same.
Oh,
So-
on the previous abstract, yes.
And I think
Okay.
that, I don't know if that can be considered the expenditures and revenue report. It might not be. Maybe we should just consider that the financial report. Do you want me to start to say that?
Okay, do we need to do something about the one that,
I don't believe so because it really wasn't a dollar amount difference. There were
Okay.
some
Okay.
numbers that were different.
okay, so we're good with that?
Say we are. It'll be included. So when the minutes come out, it'll show the new one. It'll show the corrected one.
Okay,
so we're not vote,
We have in the past when it made a significant difference. I suppose we should have some kind of a policy
if it
or
was only
guidance.
just, the dollar amount didn't change, right?
No, it didn't.
Correct.
So
So
there's
it's almost
no
like
reason that
typos.
we would have that we would have to reapprove it or approve it anew if the dollar
That's-
amount didn't change, right?
What I think.
okay, but you're going
Shar,
to
do you have
attach
thoughts?
one, correct?
What?
You're going to attach on the corrected to this
Yes.
minutes.
Here,
Yes.
I'll put it
I
in
will
the,
just make a note that a correction has been made.
Right.
Not
It's
dollar
all,
amount,
the only thing
you
that
could
changed
do
is
it
it's
as
off by
C,
one number.
saying a correction was made. Go ahead, Charles, stop talking.
I was just saying that it's only off by one number. That's it. The claim
Okay.
numbers.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to make a significant difference in anything.
As long as the total doesn't change.
Okay.
If the total
We have-
changes, you have to do it.
April, you want to rename the expenditures and revenues report?
No. I don't know. What should they, does it make sense to do that? This is operating budget expenditures. This is revenues. It could just be financial report.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a better term? I don't know where I came up with expenditures and revenues report.
Financial is fine.
In the future, I will write financial reports. But you could say in your minutes,
I
you
will,
could say financial report for February 2021.
okay, do you want me to do that?
Okay,
Because then it includes that corrected abstracts. Nice.
right. Okay, are we clear with the financial reports?
Yes.
And we
Clear
move on to the
indeed.
director's report.
Hey, I highlighted some things, which I sent to you. There's some wonderful webinars going on, so I try to catch some of those. I do sign up for them and sometimes it's not convenient and then I will watch the recording at a later date. So I do believe that I took these at the same time. These are the ones that I actually showed up for. There are some other ones that come into play. I have spent quite a bit of time this month just on the little details of we picked up the cabinets. I convinced my husband that he wanted to take a few hours off so we could go get those. And then I purchased a sink at Home Depot, paint at Urbanics. I bought folding chairs at BJ's, blankets. I think Kim got those on Amazon somewhere, the picnic blankets, so that if you put them on the ground and it's a little damp, your bottom doesn't get wet. A wagon so that those chairs can be taken outside. I went to Lowe's and I purchased the custom countertops that go with, it still was less than $600 for the kind of a slate color countertop. It's going to be nice. Herm's been working with a few contractors to get some quotes for the electrical, not a lot, but just to move the outlets so they're above the countertop, move one over so it's behind the refrigerator, add the dishwasher. We had the sink there, but we're going to have the dishwasher. So again, that's not a big deal. putting the stove on the backside of the, where the furnace is, so the gas line's right there. So those, which you already know about, because that was part of the construction grant last year. Let's see, curbside service, curbside and grab and go were 15 minutes, now they're 30. So that happened on March 22nd. Well, quite a few of us, Ashar was on that call too, the large gathering guidance, what businesses need to know about opening community rooms and things. It did have a large focus on, say, larger venues like the Yankees, the stadium, big weddings, that sort of thing. But they did also talk to us about what we should do in our community room. Our community room's a little full of stuff right now because the old kitchen was taken out, and so there's some cabinets around and whatnot. So there's construction going on in there. Kim is going to start, let me keep going though. Business access hours, we are at our New York State minimum hours for a library our size is 55 hours. So we are now at 56 hours and we started that on Monday. We were very close to that before, we were at 49. But since we didn't have programming going on in the evenings, we waited to open up that extra 2 hours in the evening. So we did start full hours. Let's see, the library master plan design review, we had a couple of us were on that call on March 23rd, and that drawing was sent to everyone. And that's what I'm having a poster made of those schematics. Utica Public has a poster maker, so we'll have we'll be able to look at that larger. Bring Your Own Book Club, we've continued that throughout. That's tomorrow night. We have another one of those. That's a WebEx call. Let's see. I have gone to the Community Foundation is offering a list of a number of webinars, as far as donors and that sort of thing. So I've been popping into those to try to, it's a lot of it, but if you pull one thing away, it'll help. Literacy Coalition, the R4K meeting, that again, it's kind of interesting to see. We talk about like what preschool programming is going around the area and what's being offered. So I like to keep going to those to make those connections, continue with those. And then Mid-York directors were the virtual meetings. We've been having those every month, but we're starting to roll those back. And that's going to be basically, we're going to have a DAC meeting 1 month, and then we're going to have just a general casual directors call. So what are you doing? How you opening your community room? And we had an email thread. What are you doing? Are your bathrooms open? When are you going to do that? When are you going to do outdoor programming? How is it that we're trickling in? And a few people have, say, 3 people that meet and they cane chairs and they're meeting with masks on, and there's, just a few of those ideas just so that we make sure we're on the same page and we're doing the right thing. And there was a DAC meeting, and again, just whatever seems to be going on at Mid-York. We don't quarantine anymore. That's kind of a big thing too. There was guidance that came out of Broome County that COVID-19 does not stay on surfaces. It's very airborne. That's really how it's passed from one thing to another. The odds of somebody, possibly they could sneeze and it could be really gooey, and then you could wipe it and put it in your eye. I mean, the odds are so slim to transfer on a surface. So that's good to know, but finally it didn't happen until pretty recently. We just did that in the last week or so. So we've started to take book donations as of yesterday, because now our quarantine room is open and we can kind of start to do that. So we're hoping that starts again. We've had the book sale open, and we have had donations that we've gotten rid of, because from past before November, when the infection rate got really high, we did have quite a few donations that we've been sorting through, but the book sale was getting a little bit low. Shar and I went to Key Bank because we had a problem with Dunham Library credit card. There was somebody, I don't know, they bought airline tickets and it wasn't Char and myself.
Wow.
So they credited us that, we didn't have to pay for that. They canceled the card. We got a new card, that kind of thing. Just annoying things of anybody who has a credit card.
Where were
And
they
so-
going? Where were they going?
I don't know. We just, the travel agency or whatever. There was just some generic, we could tell by the name of it that it looked like it was fun. It looked like they were buying books and DVDs. That's what we knew. We're like, no, this isn't us. So we canceled that card and got a new one. Let's see. Oh, there was this, it was kind of interesting. It was through, you think I'd know. It was there's a health organization. I think I can remember that, but it's a library health thing. And they had a symposium. I only did attend a few things on March 24th, but it was good. Basically, be kind to yourself. We have a tendency to just be moving all the time and, be nice. And it worked out. Okay. Then there was a chamber meeting, and I don't go to that many chamber meetings, but usually when public figures are there, I like to go. So I went to, and Anthony Pacenti was the featured person, but then Miriam Buttonstone was there. And I have to say, when Anthony Pacenti was speaking, he noticed that Chris August was there from Utica Public, and he said something about libraries. And then Miriam Buttonstone noticed that I was there, and she said something about libraries. So time well spent, because of course it's like anything, you want to make sure they don't forget you. And then there are Zoom meetings, Zoom board meeting. So that was officially a board meeting that was on the 25th, but there are also, I went to one today, and that was just kind of discussion. They're giving out grants for if there was some kind of hardship to do with COVID, and not necessarily was it a hardship, but our digital resources are being used a lot. People are using digital books, Libby. So we want to put more money towards that. And I noticed Katie from Mid-York was on the call, and it's $5,000 an applicant. So if we could pool some money together, Mid-York could write a grant, and then maybe we could be on that, say a couple of the libraries that to focus on what we've lost. We're fortunate. Our budgets we did lose some money from Oneida County, but that Oneida County money usually does go towards digital resources. So if we could recoup that by joining together and writing a group grant. So I did reach out to Katie, and she's going to talk to Wanda. So hopefully we can sign on that, and maybe we can get $5,000 more towards our digital resources, or some figure up to. So that's the highlights. I mean, there's always lots of stuff going on, but those are the things I managed to put in my calendar, I guess. So.
Okay. We have a piece of old business here, and that's about the building plan with Julia.
Yeah, and I kind of talked about all that I'm going to have a poster made. And Sue, you brought that up, that we should probably meet, our building committee should meet, and just, next steps. And maybe it would just be to break down what I chunked it up in an email. I mean, I could CC you in on that with Julia, and said, okay, so if we did all of Dunham House upstairs, downstairs, what would that cost? And if we did this, what would that cost? If we did like the bathrooms that are in the west entrance, that building isn't changing. So if we did the upstairs, downstairs, and then we did the bathroom that goes into Dunham House with that kitchen, the plumbing could all go together, and then they could do the other plumbing and just kind of have it there and cap it off, so that when we did the second story and all that, that would all be ready.
Right.
And how much is that? And so how much is that? Is that like X amount of dollars? And it's like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Last time we had 34 million, and our portion in Mid-York was X. I don't know what it was. Katie came back to me twice, or came back to the whole group twice, and said, does anybody have a shovel-ready project? And I said, oh, I can get a quote today. And, we replaced one of those HVAC. So I want to have the main project, but then I want to have these add-ons that maybe in the event that there's once it all shakes down.
Right.
It's
We
a
want to
lot
be
of
ready.
money for Mid-York as a whole to get, which is lovely because we need it, but we
Yeah.
have to be ready. And that's the
Right,
key. Some people
exactly.
couldn't pull it together, and we're not gonna let anybody go to another region. Because,
Right,
and
absolutely.
that's what happened. Other regions couldn't spend it all. And so they said, okay, we've got this and we're sharing it with you. And then Katie turned around and said, oh, there's more money. Who's got something? And I just want to be ready with that because we did
Good.
really well
Yeah.
that year.
Good idea.
And that's it. Oh,
Okay.
and I already said too that there's no one, at least as of, I don't know, 3:30.
I have a
Or
question.
3:45 that had done the
Oh,
petition
I have
to
a
be a
question.
board member. Go ahead, Pat.
Who decides what comes next in the building project? I mean, does the building
We do.
committee, money? I mean, how do we, is there like a sequence of how we're doing this?
In a way. So what we would do is we would say, I think Dunham House is probably the easiest, and I can see it working the best if we focused on the things that are needed there. It's staff bathroom right now. The staff bathroom is not accessible really. So you'd have to go in the community room. I mean, it is, if you can scoot in there. So I don't know how many have been in the staff bathroom, but it's this like little hallway and it's a little tight, but it works. I mean, we're okay, but that could be fixed. And so some of those things could be fixed and it would work. And I did look at it. I looked at all the things that are on the list and I said, okay, what could go together? And you do think that way,
Right.
because the circulation desk is a good idea. We say, oh, let's do that. Well, you don't want to do that if they're going to be pouring concrete above the
Yeah.
stacks in that area and the
Right.
construction is going to happen above it. You don't want to make it pretty below and then have some issues above if they do construction later. So if we
And-
could work on things that are
Right.
in that footprint of the second floor,
Yeah.
it's probably the best thing to do.
What about the lighting in the children's area? I mean, that's a
That is
totally
separate.
separate thing. You know, it doesn't impact on any other part of the library. And it's something that certainly we've talked about for quite a while, the fact that
Yes.
section is not bright enough.
And that could be done. That I think is one of those add-ons that we could just boom do. And well, I just thought I chunked together just because you try to have a theme sometimes. And I thought the lighting, the what do I want to say? The makerspace room, which is that's why I wanted to get Dunham House done first, because then if I do that, then I can move the staff that are right now in the workroom and in that office. I won't get like, well, I'll be homeless. I want everybody not to have a workspace.
Yeah.
So once I get that working, then we could do the makerspace, the lighting, and that storage room off of the community room. That would kind of flow as a chunk. And then we'd really have to bond to do the other.
Yeah. And that's probably gonna be a little bit farther in the future because of the financial repercussions from the pandemic. It's not, everything is not going to go right back up to where it needs to be by July.
Right. So that's what I thought. If we get, because in fairness, we've decided, I believe we've decided that if we keep Dunham House, we're going to keep a large group of people happy. It is kind of what people see, but if it is the space for the staff, then all the space in the main library that they occupy, we can pull them back over. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the rest of that space can be given to the public. It's one of those, you have to play that game, that has like 1 through 8, and you have that one free space, and you got to keep switching and make sure it all works. Shar and I were talking about it today, because that little second floor Dunham House thing, I said, okay, how would this work? What do you think? And we do think it's going to help. And even the hallway upstairs, I said, if we have place to put all this stuff. And we have a place that put this stuff that actually can plug in without a 25-foot, I don't know if it's 25 foot, but it's long. We have this power strip that's really long because we have to snake it around the room. And then we can plug stuff into it.
And we curse Mr. Dunham for saying you have to have the library there. I mean, really, talk about reaching back from the grave and not realizing how much trouble you caused.
You know,
Well,
with
at
anybody
the time,
writing,
people didn't plug so much in, anything in, maybe, you know. So if we could do, and it's not, I don't think the Dunham House thing is terribly expensive. Sorry, Sally, I'll stop. Did you talk, Sally, or did Pat?
No, I just said, how do people think they know the future?
That's right.
They don't.
When they write a will.
We don't even this construction project, I don't want to pigeonhole anything, right? I want things to remain very flexible so that no matter what happens, it'll work. Well, anyway, it does sound like the building committee wants to just hash this out. I do have some ideas, and I sent this long email to Julia, and I said, and if I have confused you, maybe we should talk before you answer anything, because I said estimate, because I wanted to kind of break these things down. And she said, let's talk tomorrow afternoon. I said, okay.
Good
So
idea.
that's what I know. And so that's,
Okay.
I don't have new business or.
No new business. How about announcements, communications? There's no public present. We don't need an executive session, do we? Does anyone think we need an executive session? Nope.
Not to my
Then
knowledge.
And so now I think that maybe, I mean, based on what some have said, that maybe we want to continue it virtual for at least one more month for the board meeting itself.
Yeah, I guess if I don't mind meeting together in a large room. We don't have to be on top of each other.
Can we do hybrid?
We could. We could do that, and then what we could do is we could set it up. Well, the community room is going to be ugly, just saying. If you're, it might not be that ugly. Maybe I think the countertops are coming May 4th or something. So maybe we'll have it together. At the very least, we can. You're not above.
Remember the last
time
we did hybrid, we had trouble with the computers or something.
That's because April had this brilliant idea that we would all have our own computer. No, that doesn't work because there was feedback. We all need to show up in the room and have one TV and one speaker. That's all we can do. Because if you have your own computer, you get feedback.
Right.
And I
so what if you can't see the screen very well, or if Sally's going to join from home or Pat's going to join from home, and we just look like Hollywood squares, so what?
Because I can't drive anymore.
Okay.
So it's easier for me this way. But I mean, if I could get there, I would. But if I don't have to.
No pressure. No pressure. Well, no pressure unless open meeting law variance goes away.
Yeah.
And that could be interesting. But currently, this one, every month it is voted on. So
I have to tell you, my brother who works for the health department right there, New York State Health Department, right there in Albany, in the past year, he's been out of his house 4 times. So, let's hurry and get those kids back to school. What? I mean, it just doesn't make sense what one hand is telling the other to be doing. I don't know.
Well, right now, Sally, we do have a variance for this. And I don't anticipate that variance going away, but we do have to kind of get permission each month from Albany.
Right.
So as far as we know, it'll probably be extended. And we should be able to do the hybrid.
Yeah.
I would like to avoid a horrendous death if at all possible. Lots of ways to die, but I'd rather avoid the horrendous one. So
Shar and we're kind of used to it. We'll have Mark, he'll be there to help us with tech support. And we can set this up in the community room, especially if there's only 4 of us. So there will be Shar and myself. And nope. Scott, are you coming in person? You're going to meet us virtually.
For right now, virtually works. I mean, I can certainly work with going back in person. Honestly, I think it will end up being a little easier probably around June. One of the things that does make virtual somewhat simpler is that it's not unusual for me to have clients up until 5 o'clock and occasionally 6 o'clock. So the transition time from here to there gets kind of dicey when that happens.
I totally get it. I'm very happy with Zoom just because, I mean, I like being in person too, but it's easy. I mean, I am on another board and we're just going to keep going. Well, it's a nonprofit that doesn't have open meeting law restrictions. So we can really do whatever we want. We have a meeting, we have minutes, all that kind of stuff. We don't even have to, but we're talking about meeting in the lawn, at our facility.
No, I'm thinking right now that, let's see, our next meeting, logically
May 11th.
speaking, would be May 11th. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, by May 11th, I would definitely prefer continuing virtual. By June, we'll see. I may have a little more flex in my schedule by then.
So Scott, Pat, and Sally are definitely at home, and we would only need 4 different tables, and they'd be 6 feet apart. So that there's no reason that we can't pull that together.
Yeah, well, maybe we
have
can
a hybrid.
We can try it in June if people want. I mean, it doesn't matter. I can do it on computer. It just seems eventually, we need to get back to actual life.
Okay, so am I hearing from you, Sue, that maybe we'll just go virtual in May and then we'll talk about hybrid for June?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll stay virtual for May and then we'll look for June to be in person, hopefully. And if it's not, then it's not.
We'll see what everybody, feels comfortable with by then. Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Can we have a motion? Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Gladly.
Hey, I'll second it.
Did we talk about that? Sorry, we do not have a person who, to our knowledge, as of 3:30 today, did not turn in a petition for to be a board member. So Susanna's position will be open, and we could hopefully we'd be able to find someone. Scott, for example, was a write-in, I don't know, way back when I first started, and that would be the way we would fill it. If you know anybody, let the board know, I guess, because the actual budget vote will be May 18th. So we'll have a meeting in May before that. So just an idea of brainstorming how we can solve that problem. No action needed.
I will try a couple people that are too busy, but you never know.
I can
get them to be a write-in.
I could definitely send some, I should send a note to staff. I mean, obviously we don't want anybody who's related to staff, but they might know somebody, even somebody who's a patron or whatever. Sometimes patrons don't want to know how the sausage is made, but.
I know. Pat, do you remember how you recruited me?
Yes, I do.
Pat got me in the parking lot one day.
A little difficult, but thank God you said it.
Your arm is still broken.
Yeah. I said, I don't know anything about it. She said, oh, you can learn. So
and you certainly have. You have.
Okay, are we all set?
Yes.
I think so.
Sounds good.
Thank you all for your time.
So,
Okay, it was
have a
nice
good
to
one.
see
All right, thanks,
everybody.
everyone. Stay safe and
Good
take
night.
care.
Right.
Okay.
You too.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Up in
Good
the
night.
video, Mark.